Okay, Red Cross started with me since I'm in secondary school time. Okay, way back in 1966 when I was in secondary one. So I joined the Red Cross, and then in 1969, while I'm Sec 4 already, I have all the last time Red Cross training ground. We'll still be here, but most of the time we're at the Singapore Polytechnic, which is at Shenton Way. We have food drill, we have a lot of activities, residential camp, youth camp, whatever thing it is. So after when we left in 1969 school, then we decided to join HQ as a volunteer. We continue to have our, as I say, at that time we have our certificate, elementary. Then I go through my first aid for advanced, and every 3 years, and being an officer also you have to be, at that time I'm a youth officer. After you can see from my Red Cross identity card, we started to have Red Cross identity card. Why we have this is at that time we did say, in case of emergency, if you don't want to show people who you are, how to identify yourself, nobody is going to say you're a Red Cross unless you have an identity card to identify yourself. So I feel this identity card or identification card is very important and carry it along. If you think you are a qualified first aider, in case of any emergency, anything, give help. And I think if you give help to anybody in case of disaster, trouble, when you achieve something, you feel proud that you've done something. That's what I always tell myself. Would you agree?
Yeah, I agree.
If you achieve something for your own personal sake, then it's not right. But if you are doing it for somebody who saved somebody's life, at least somebody will not just remember you, but you did some for the society. And that's where 2 years ago, 2017, I attended the ODDT course and I graduated. So in case of any emergency, well, I'm always prepared up to today. So sometimes I do receive a lot of Red Cross news at the end first aid. It's good to be a good first aider and renew your certificates, I think every 3 years or something like that. Because today first aid is so much advanced compared that was 20-30 years ago. The rescue operation is a little bit different. Those were the days you got nothing with you. You use bare hand, use your initiative bare hand. But today we have protocol, systematic, SOP, that kind of thing. So when I attended the ODT, I also talk about this thing. Okay, during my experience, how you able to rescue an operation. Sometimes to a place that you go, it's not that you have your basic theory is there. You don't have the resources. What will you do? With your some of the basic knowledge of first aid, suppose somebody got fracture in the leg or something, you cannot just simply move them. Okay, so how are you going to improvise? So if you have a knowledge of first aid, you know what to do, or a simple bandage, just a small cut, or maybe you got elbow fracture or something, how you tie a simple arm sling or triangle sling. These basic things are very important in today's everyday life. Even you're working in industry, even my own factory itself, I have first aid kit. It's very important. Anything accident can happen if you are not cautious when you do things.
I joined Red Cross as a youth member in my primary school. Link, we are called Link. And after that, in the 1980, about 82, in my secondary school, I'm involved very much in HQ activity already. Join courses and services like hospital nursing service, general welfare service that we organized. In the 1980s plus, we already organized tea party for seniors. We already organized projects to bring seniors to places of interest. And in hospital we treat C-class patient by talking to them, or when the nurse trusts us, we will do simple wound cleaning, temperature taking, and all those things. So all this actually contribute to my interest in learning more about first aid. So I carry on to proceed to advanced first aid, being a CPR instructor course, and also involved in quite a number of overseas training programs and exchange programs. So all these are opportunities that Red Cross has involved me, and I really benefited, in all these years. And that's why I can be ready in Hotel New World, welfare homes, when I need to be of a service to the more underprivileged groups. So Red Cross actually trained me to be a better person, to be more compassionate in many ways. When I go out on a flat day, when I ask somebody who is at first not willing to put in, question why they need to give the donation into that flat tin, I can tell them about the services that I'm in, like hospital nursing, general welfare service, and Project Red Cross Love that we have started in 1997. We have Project Red Cross Love for 14 years, and the name tells itself. We are projecting the love of Red Cross to the more underprivileged people. So when I share with the general public, you see that their attitude changed. They put in the money very willingly, and I'm proud to be one of the service that the Red Cross provided. So actually, a lot of times I felt that I benefit a lot more than I give. And one very big incident that happened at home is my mom. She was turning blue, and because of the first aid knowledge that we have, just by doing head tilt chin lift, I saw her from blue face, lips, turning back to reddish. That means she's breathing oxygen, she's getting relief from her suffering, just by doing just one simple step, a simple first aid. It's actually relieved my loved ones from suffering. I think that's the aim of being a Red Cross volunteer. Our motto is serve one another, and I believe in that. That's why I joined Singapore Red Cross after my secondary school years. I even managed to sit inside Still Calm. I was in the council, which wow, yeah, it's amazing to be involved in different level of management in Red Cross. And I think it's not the position or the rank that I hold. It's more of by going up, you can do more. Sometimes because you are leading a group of volunteers who are really compassionate, and you believe in the things that you do, you have to move up in some management level in order to do bigger projects and to have more fundings or more support in your project. And besides working very well within the Red Cross, we work very well with other organizations also. We have opportunities to work with organizations, other VWOs, which I think I will not get it from outside. I will not get it from any other organization, because Singapore Red Cross Society itself internationally is a very neutral, very humanitarian society. So I'm very proud. I think we can say that we are very proud to be a Red Cross member, and Red Cross really, make us what I am at least now, today in my own personal life or in everything that I do. Yeah.
On 19th of March 1986, around about 11:30 a.m. in the morning, I suddenly heard a loud boom sound. So as if I thought it is somewhere got bombed. That sounds very terrifying. So I was staying around the area there, at Kitchener Road, very near, close to the Hotel New World. What I do is I quickly ran to the back of my house, the balcony, and I saw a big, huge dust forming in the air in the time. So I said, oh my God. Immediately, I rushed down, wearing singlet, with my slipper. I rushed to the scene. At that point of time, I was stopped by the police, and the police does not allow me to enter the area where the building was collapsed. So I told the police, I have a Red Cross identity card, and this is life and death saving people. I'm from the Singapore Red Cross. The police say, please, you go in. Now, at this Hotel New World is actually the junction of Serangoon Road and Owen Road. It housed 67 hotel with one branch of ICB Bank, Industrial Commercial Bank, ICB, including the car park. So at that point of time, I was thinking, what should I do? I hear commotion of, after the building collapsed, the whole rubbles, the whole area there, I hear a lot of noise inside the hole. When the building collapsed, you will find a lot of those rubbles. You will panic because it's so thick and very dusty at that point of time. So I tell myself, I only can hear sound. What should I do? So without any delay, I use my two hands to, scoop instead of using chanko or what. There's no equipment for you at the time. I use my two bare hands, start taking out the soil from the small little hole. Because I hear sound coming from there. I presume there are people inside. So I start moving, using my hand to crawl, trying to dig out the rubbles. It took me about half an hour just to manage to pull one person out. Okay, I continue to do, but I'm extremely very tired pulling out the hand. But there are people calling me, help, cry. They keep crying, shouting for help. When I remove, I see people, I start pulling them. The next person, the bystander, those helpers, I push and pass it on to the next person who continue to do, where I continue to rub using my hand to bring out all those rubbles and everything out and manage to do. So I did almost about 3-4 hours, I think so, around the time. I'm very tired already. So at that point of time, I rest myself one side, because I think already by then the Red Cross itself would have come in already by then. That is, I think around about, not to go 1-2 hours later or something like that at that time. So I'm quite relieved there are first aiders, people all coming to attend this horrible sight. Now the phobia on this portion. Now I think the whole event is about 4 days to clear up this whole thing. By then, if I'm not wrong, we managed to have 17 survivors. With this 17 survivors, we also, I think, if I'm not wrong, the statistics, we have about 30 over vehicles are being removed from that rubbles. So much of this impact, I would say that the fear in me right now, still I have this traumatized effect. Because I myself is a photographer. I travel many parts of the world. And whenever I enter a cave, the effect of sounding of those people calling at that time, I can still remember, still is in my mind. So until today, this memory cannot be erased. If I enter any cave, hole, anything, sometimes I go inside the cave, take pictures. I take very funny pictures here. So I always remember this, but I try not to remember, but it just come back to me after so far 33 years.
I watch the news on TV, and it's really like a movie, to see a building collapse in Singapore. So my first reaction is, what can I do? So I call up HQ because I was a volunteer already then, waiting for my O-level result. Yeah. So I call HQ, say, what can I do? So they say, you can come down to HQ, and maybe I'm 17 then, so help to make phone calls to gather volunteers to go to be on site. Yeah, after the phone calls, calling up, the more experienced volunteer to be on site already. Then my first site was the vegetarian restaurant, near the Hotel New World, where most of the families are waiting there for news of survival. I mean, everyone is hoping for survival. So we went in and just to make sure that they are taken care of, because they are so worried. So nobody want to eat or drink. So we are there to be ready to serve them any snacks or food, because they will forget about taking care of themselves. Even just drinking water, they will not remember to drink. So we have to serve them snacks and drinks. And from there, the rescue operation continues into the night, where the first survivor actually was being announced, found alive under the rubble was announced that they found somebody. We all really cheer. At the restaurant, you can feel the hope rises, and everybody is so happy and cheering, But the first one that I remember didn't make it. When he came, the casualty came out, didn't make it. So the whole atmosphere went back to silent and very solemn, Everybody don't know what to say. So then after a while, the second news of somebody is being found, rescued. And we all really keep very silent to hoping for good news, because after the first disappointment, so we really all seated there and praying that something will happen, good will happen. And true enough, that was the first survivor that, managed to pull out from the tunnel. Yeah, so the whole restaurant actually, and the bystanders, you can hear the crowd outside, cheering. But because the rescue work have to continue, we are being told we have to be silent again. Yeah. So all of us, just after the cheering, that few seconds, right, we all go back to silence, because we really hope that to have the operation to go back smoothly, and any sound might interfere in the rescue. We all waited hopefully for more good news. Yeah, so my first night was at the vegetarian restaurant with the relatives and friends who are waiting for the news. All hopefully waiting for good news. Yeah. Then the following days, I'm being deployed to the mortuary, because while we are waiting, the SCDF, we are working with the SCDF and other organizations approach us to say that who know how to speak dialects. So I happen to speak Hakka, Cantonese, Hokkien, and understand all this dialect. So I'm being asked to go to the mortuary to be with the relative, because they identify the items by description when the relative left the house. So when they found bodies, right, at the mortuary, they will just try to match, and the relative will be asked to go to the mortuary to identify whether it's their loved ones or not. So I'm there also to really sit by them and just hearing them pouring out their life story to us. Yeah. So we can't do much, we just really have to be a listening ear. So knowing dialect actually helps. So I'm being deployed to a Hakka lady, and she is a widow. Her only son works in the bank after he graduated. So he was her only hope that time. So she waited and waited, hoping that the son can be one of the survivors. Being called to the mortuary, and I was seated with her for many hours. She poured her life story to me, and when it's time to go to the rooms to identify, whether it's the son or not, she grabbed hold of my hand and wanted me to go in with her. But a Salvation Army officer, a lady, English lady, saw that I'm a bit too young that time, 17 years old, and she felt that I cannot handle the scene inside the room. So she stopped me. She said, I think you stay outside the room waiting for her, and just be there for her when she come out. So she unwillingly let go of my hand, and I just tell her, I promise I'll be here, in her language, in Hakka. So she went in, she came out, it's not her son. So we thought, hope. I mean, that's hope lah, she's really hoping for something good, She went to the second room, I think that was the start. And she came out crying. And I couldn't cry with her because I have to be there to comfort her. So I hold back my tears, And after her, I think her uncle came and fetched her, to leave the mortuary. I actually went into the ambulance and I cried for at least half an hour myself. And my senior know that I need that time. And the Salvation Army lady know that I have to let it out. If not, I cannot continue. So I really went into the ambulance, closed the door, and I cried for almost at least half an hour, they told me later. So after that, I came out. I just continued to serve drinks and food snacks to the family, and relatives are still waiting for more results and for their loved ones. News of their loved ones. So,
In 1969, after when we left our secondary school, we were thinking how we can continue our Red Cross activities, because in schools it's only 4 years, okay? And we were thinking, can we join HQ at that time? But at that time we have voluntary aid detachment, but we are actually in a youth division. Schools are under youth, whereas the VAD, voluntary aid detachment, is under headquarters. So we came up with the idea, Chanda and me, when we started the word open unit, and that it was born at that time. So we started to he and myself, plus I think there is one more officer, John Xiao. We came up with the idea says we get those people who are keen and interested. After when you leave the school, what would you want to do? You want to continue to join the HQ? Let's join Open Unit. So at that time, Open Unit began to have batch 1. We have batch 1, the first batch they come out, the very early batch, and follow. After that, we have batch 2. I think many batches if you were to look at the clip. And from there, we will start our activities in HQ. And then what we learn from HQ, will some of us officers at the time, because from the secondary school, we were only just the most sergeant. So when we join HQ, we become at that time 1 bar officer. So as we go along, we learn the activities what we have, and we go back and train the school cadet. And to promote Red Cross activity, example more like first aid, we emphasize a lot on first aid because the school needs a lot of, sometimes the school got activity, so they don't have first aider. So better get the students who know about first aid, and when they pass, they can render for the school activity. Then we have foot drill, discipline foot drill. Then we have foot drill competition. Then we have residential camp, how to be a good officers, or we call NCO. So we started all this program together with the Singapore Red Cross. Because that time when we left, we are more senior. So we organize this kind of activity, meet the school, train the school cadet. Some of them even we had the training department at that time. Training department is one. People like them have welfare, and we also have the voluntary detachment where when there's our nation, sometimes we got those pesta sukan or games, right? We need first aiders. So all these, we know we can make use of our first aid because we learn first aid from HQ itself. So from there we will do activity. We work very close with even voluntary in detachment. Some of these open unit, we have another division called the orchestra. We also have at that time. So we form another small little unit, the orchestra unit.
In peaceful time, homes, in peacetime, a lot of other things need to be met, like hospital nursing. A lot of C-class wards, there's lack of nurses. So we can go in to be befriending, in the 1980s plus, we already went into hospital nursing to give out library books, to read to the patient, who are there for long term. And we also later went into hospital nursing service. From library, we went to hospital nursing, where we gained the trust of the nurses and the hospital that we can do very simple nursing thing like taking temperature. So from there, we really felt that we really belong to a society that we believe that we can give back to the society. So this welfare department actually formed, and we go on doing many projects like Project Red Cross Love that many other companies and organizations, BWOs work with us. Like Lion Befrienders, we are still partners. I happen to be working with them, so I'm still volunteering there also today. So these are the things that we believe, and our team believe, the welfare department, with the leadership of open unit officers that time, we really move out to all these areas to really really show the love of Red Cross, in the local context. Yeah. This 70th anniversary, I would like to see Red Cross moving forward in serving one another. That's our motto, and I think it's important to keep this motto in the heart of every volunteer. Yeah, and especially when we do services, and when we render our service to others, we always start with the motto of serving one another. And I think the journey is very fulfilling. Yeah, come join us.
Okay, for this 70th anniversary of the Red Cross, I would like to put a message that I hope everyone, including the public, that I wish that everybody can think, number one, as what Pat was saying, to serve one another, join the Red Cross equipped with the first aid know-how. As you know, in this current society, we are vulnerable to any attack. Just because we are very safe, that doesn't mean that we are very safe. So if you are prepared yourself with things you know what to do when disasters come, you are ready to go. And I urge that to learn all these things, it's good you join the Singapore Red Cross.